Hello guys, today we will be talking about four major reading techniques, which is skimming, scanning, intensive or detailed reading, and the fourth one is extensive reading. And I will also tell you when to use each of these techniques. So without wasting time, let's jump to the reading techniques and their importance. So the very first one is students should know that what are the importance of these reading techniques and when to use each of these techniques according to their situations, their time constraints, and their needs. You know what? Every reading session has the definite goal to achieve, and students must know their actual goal, whether they are reading for fun, whether they're reading for grabbing some information, some specific information, or they are going for enhancing their knowledge, or simply for attempting exam to achieve good grades. And they should know that, right? And during exams, students must show good memory skills, faster reading, and quick learning to pass the exam. And these techniques comes into play that time, because these reading techniques are not useless that you just overlook them, because they are going to help you during your entire semester, during your entire year, and also for the exam. So without wasting time, let's talk about the techniques: skimming, scanning, detailed reading or intensive reading, and the extensive reading. That's without wasting time. Skimming is also known as gist reading, where you just take only the bird eye view, take a glance of something to get the main idea of the genre of the text, what is being discussed in the text, and nothing much. You don't know anything about the text in detail, but you only know the general idea. You simply read the first and the last paragraph, any dark headings, bold words, bold phrases. This technique is helpful in the following matters, like skimming helps in order to know the general idea of the text, that whether this text is of your interest or not. For example, you skim a text and you know it's none of your business to read about the history or the World War I, then you can skip it. Like, without skimming you won't get the general idea, but you need to skim first, right? Mostly we use such techniques while reading newspapers and magazines or any journal, because we read them for fun, for the casual reading, and we need to overlook that whether this text is of my choice or not. If it's of your choice, you read it, you go through scanning or you go through detailed reading. And if it's not helpful for you to, it doesn't interest you, you don't read it after the skimming technique. We sometimes use it to search any name or number from the directory. Sometimes you just skim the text. Skimming is helpful for students to build the main idea of the chapter or lesson they are going to read. It's helpful for the students as well. For example, you open a new chapter from your science book and you just want to know the general idea of the chapter. You go through different bold letters, bold words, subsections, sections, and this and that, and you get it. What are the steps? Read out the table of the content first. You read out the content list, then you review the subheadings, quickly read the first paragraph, look for bold italic words in the text, because these words going to help you understand the general idea. Read out the chapter summary of the text, which is usually given at the end of each chapter. So these are the basic techniques these are the different steps that you use in the skimming technique. So the scanning, what is meant by scanning? As the name suggests, scanning means to scan something out of the text. Finding something specific from the text is called scanning. For example, you have a history book in hand and you have book tickets to Maldives, and now it's time to scan the history book, which is specifically you are going for the Maldives history and all. For example, scanning involves the following steps, like you simply look at the text to find something specific. For example, scanning is mostly used in the reading comprehension exercises. You read the question first. For example, when Second World War started, and you read out the text which is given by the teacher, and you simply scan for the date. You simply scan for the date when the World War II was started. It happens in scanning. You go for specific words, as I told you, names, phrases, or dates from the text. While attempting reading comprehension exercise, students use it, and this method saves time, because in reading comprehension in exam hall you don't have enough time to go for the detailed or intensive reading, and skimming is also not going to help because you are searching for a specific information. So you use scanning while attempting your reading comprehension question. Okay, the next one is intensive reading, which we call detailed reading as well. You intensively read a passage or a piece of text or a material. As the name suggests, detailed reading involves the intensive effort to read out any piece of text. You don't need you don't read for simply getting to know the general idea. You study it to grasp each and every information discussed by the author. Scanning involves the, sorry, intensive reading involves the following steps. It's my bad, I made a mistake. You simply read the entire text thoroughly to fully understand the textual content. You might be reading it for the understanding of the chronological events discussed in the text. If there is chronological events in the text, you must go through the entire text in a detailed manner, and then you can make the notes. Otherwise it's not possible with the help of skimming or scanning. You read it first, then you make notes, and sometimes you make a summary of the text or revise it on your own. The given text might be important for exams. For example, your teacher told you that this passage is very important and you know it can come in your exam tomorrow, then you simply detailed read it, because you don't want to miss out any of the given information of the text. This method is highly time and energy consuming, guys. You must know beforehand that any student or anyone who likes detailed reading, it is time consuming and it takes a lot of your energy as well. This technique, it has its own uses, it has its own flaws, as it's time consuming and energy consuming, but still it's worth it. What are the benefits you get by doing detailed reading? Is this method is helpful in the following situations. For example, you are a language learner. Your goal is not to your goal is not to scan something. Your goal is not to get the general idea of the text, but you are reading something to enhance your reading skills in a particular language. Then you go for the detailed reading to enhance your vocabulary, to equip yourself with the different sentence structures, phrases, and you also want to know the cultural values of that language, so you go for the detailed reading. Next, you have intensive reading helps to retain information in long-term memory. You know what, when you skim something or you scan something, it goes into your short-term memory, but when you detail read something, it gets into your long-term memory. So don't forget that material so easily. That information that goes through from the detailed reading is not going to be forget so easily. And reading huge amount of text before exams is called extensive reading, and it does not going to help for the average students, and you must go for the intensive reading. Don't go for this one topic in different books. Go through one book in a detailed manner, because you are an average student or you are a normal student like me. Then extensive reading is not going to help you, because everything will be in your short-term memory and you will blast in the exam. Neglecting intensive reading technique brings failure sometimes for the students, because some students rely on the skimming most of the time or scanning, or sometimes they go for the extensive reading, that I should read a concept from different books, and they don't remember at all during the exam, because everything is in their short-term memory and they don't remember anything while attempting the exam. So you go through the detailed reading for your exam preparation. Sometimes it depends on the situation and the need. Fourth one and the last one is extensive reading or the pleasure reading. You read it for pleasure, to get the, your goal is not to get the information, to grasp the information, to attempt the question, or to find something specific. No, you're reading it for pleasure, for a fun activity. Extensive reading involves the following aspects. For example, extensive reading is done not for specific objective in mind. It is mostly used by teachers as a classroom activity to enhance students' reading skills in general. So you have no pressure to answer the questions, you don't have any pressure to find the specific information, you are just reading it for fun, and naturally your reading skills would be enhanced. Students enjoy such techniques as they are pressure free while reading. They have no any pressure, they have no any kind of stress from the teacher or from the classroom environment. They're just reading it for fun and they enjoy it. Novels, short stories, essays, or any other literary piece of text is read by this technique, because you are not going to read something scientific for pleasure. You're going to read something more artistic and literary for pleasure most of the time. This method does not help in preparing for exams in general. I mean, you just extensively read something and you won't remember anything, you have no goal in mind, then it won't gonna help you for exams. But mostly used by brilliant students or the intelligent minds, just to quench their thirst of curiosity, because intelligent minds are curious and they want to know new and new things from different books and materials, and they go for the extensive reading. So let me conclude the entire topic here. You have different techniques and you have got different situations, different needs, different time constraints. For example, your exam, it has so less time that you go for skimming, or sometime you go for scanning. But if you're preparing for exam and you have time in hand, you go for detailed reading. But if you are just reading for fun, then you go for extensive reading. It depends on your need and on your mindset and on your abilities and aptitude. Okay, without wasting time, let me tell you about the implementation of each technique. I will give the links in the description of different texts. Okay, you can apply all of these 4 techniques on them. For example, you can skim, you just get the general idea. You can let me know in the comment section that I got the general idea by using your first described technique. Then you can scan. For example, you make some questions and then you read it, and then you will get to know that scanning helps or not for you. Okay, and third one is detailed reading. You go for detailed reading. And fourth one is extensive reading for the intelligent minds. They read all the links, they read out all the reading passage, and then let me know what they get and did they get pleasure or not. And let me know, thank me later by liking this video and commenting on this video. Thank you. Goodbye.